Hello. Today is the last day of the High Performance Challenge, and my focus is leading with integrity. So, the philosopher Henry Frankfurt explains integrity as being fully self-integrated, free from inner conflict, free from disagreement. And let's just think about the word integrity. It comes from the Latin root integer, which means something that is whole. So how whole and complete are you? I like to make reference to landmark education. And landmark education says integrity is whole, complete, perfect, unimpaired, and sound. And so in the context of landmark education, integrity is honoring your word as yourself. It is achieved by creating an empowering context in the use of your word, and that is as honoring your word. So you are honoring your word as if your word is yourself. So to that end, integrity is not a question of morality, and instead it is a question of workability. So from the perspective of landmark education, integrity is actually a phenomenon in itself and of itself. It has to do with authenticity. So you being true to you, and this is the foundation for your power and your effectiveness. I believe that workability is about making good choices. So my belief is that integrity is making good choices, doing the right thing. And integrity is a home, an anchor, and a continuing commitment, a way of being and acting that really shapes who you are. So for me, the bottom line is that integrity resides in the ability to establish yourself as your word, to be true to your principles, and ultimately to be true to yourself. And when you are being true to yourself, you will discover that integrity is not constrained by, nor does it reside in rules or prescriptions or imposed demands. Integrity then creates an environment of freedom, power, and joy. So let me ask you a question. Have you ever made a promise to which you were not committed to fulfill? Yes or no? So think carefully and wisely on giving your word. And I love the quote by Abraham Lincoln. And Abraham Lincoln gave us this wise counsel when he said, "We must not promise what we ought not, lest we called on to perform what we cannot." So you may be called up to deliver what you promised. So if you didn't really want to undertake that promise or to be true to the promise, don't say it. You see, I believe that sincerity is closely related to integrity. Part of leading with integrity is leading and living your life with sincerity. So, in other words, being truly authentic. And in one of my books, which is entitled Authentic Choice, Be You, I make the point that being true to yourself and to who you really are is paramount. Is paramount to you living a life that is fulfilling and joyful. Hence, know that it's not just what is on the outside, but what is on the inside that matters most. So I believe that the first step towards integrity is being honest with yourself. Be who you are, whole and complete, as I said in the beginning. Say what you mean, honor your word, and do what you say you will do. Be sincere, not just talking the talk, but walking the talk. I have come to know that a person of integrity is a person that you can count on. A person of integrity is really seen by others. Others know that the person will do what he or she says that she or he will do. The person with integrity is trusted to work with greater responsibility and confidence and make ethical decisions. During my decade as a chairman in managing within the NHS, I recognized very quickly the importance of integrity. When you are leading your life and your business with integrity, your goals become easier to reach. More difficult when you are not in integrity. And when you are not in integrity, you may find that you attract people that make you feel uncomfortable and you lose trust in yourself. So, in the words of Paul Wellstone, never separate the life you live from the words you speak. Now, that is very wise counsel. And similarly, Dennis Waitley said, integrity is a standard of personal ethics. It is not relative to the situation you happen to find yourself in and doesn't sell out due to expediency. Dennis Waitley reminds us to let your actions be in conformity with your words. Do the right thing, even if nobody is watching or will find out. I return to landmark education because it really enforces that without integrity, nothing works. So it's important to demonstrate integrity. And in demonstration of that integrity, it's very important to remember, no matter how educated, talented, rich, or cool you believe you are, how you treat people tells all. Integrity is everything. I have found that a commitment to live a life of integrity aligns you with your values and allow you to have clarity when you have to make hard decisions and hard choices. In the presence of clarity, you will not be in conflict with yourself, and you will not be in conflict when you have to take a chosen path. Instead, you will experience the confidence that comes with having every aspect of your life coming together in a unity of purpose. So by that I mean your inner values reflecting your outer actions. So in other words, you are whole and complete. It is costly to ignore your inner values. And David Brooks, who noted in his New York Times column, and he said, if you live for external achievement, years pass and the deepest parts of you go unexplained and unstructured. You lack moral vocabulary. It is easy to slip into a self-satisfied moral mediocrity. You grade yourself on a forgiving curve. You figure out as long as you are obviously not hurting anybody and people seem to like you, you must be okay. But you live with unconscious boredom. You are separated from the deepest meaning of life and the highest moral joys. And so gradually, a humiliating gap opens between your actual self and your desired self, between you and those incandescent souls you sometimes meet. That's a heavy price to pay. So, when making unethical decision, sometimes it may appear easier in the short run. However, it eventually takes its toll because there is no real happiness to be found in struggling to remember to be true to your stories or living in fear of being found out or getting caught. When you lead with integrity, you will influence, inspire, and motivate other people, not just with your words, but also with your actions. Others see the positive example that you are and they attempt to emulate you. Leading with integrity is a daily process and it is consistent for the whole of your life, not just something you do today and put it on the shelf until tomorrow. When you choose to lead and live your life with integrity, you will experience several benefits. And some of the benefits that I have noticed about living with integrity are: you become more valuable both as a person and as a high performer. And that is why I'm ending with integrity on this 30-day high performance challenge. You radiate vibrant energy and you are seen and trusted as someone who gets things done. People are more willing to trust you and want to include you with greater responsibility and bigger projects. I have experienced that. I have never really applied for a job in public life. I have always been asked to undertake the major roles that I have undertaken in public life. Another benefit of integrity is that you are respected and your value increase, and you are better able to state and command what you do and what you refuse to do. As I share a story with you, I remember being interviewed for quite a big job for which I never applied. And I said to my interviewers, if I were you, I wouldn't employ me. Because if you were to employ me, I will need to be true to what I believe. And what I believe is that the way we are operating at the moment is not viable. And because it is not viable, I would want to do the things that I believe is viable and what I know the system has not yet woken up to. So please don't employ me. So that was interesting. Of course, they thought long and hard and asked if I were serious. And I said, yes, I am serious. And I wasn't employed. Well, 2 years later, huge deficits, and the rest is history. So you build positive relationships that lead to more people being willing to work with you. And this allows you to get more done. You get bigger and better rewards in terms of personal fulfillment job satisfaction, and remuneration. I believe that it is important to note that successful people live with integrity, and they take action to restore their integrity when they are out of alignment with their integrity. They say what they do, and they do what they say. They build successful relationships with ease, and the people with whom they interact trust them. A leader without integrity lacks credibility and authenticity. Think about that. A leader without integrity lacks credibility and authenticity. And here's a noteworthy quote, and I've taken this from Tartuffe, Moliere's Tartuffe. And the quote is, "If everyone were clothed with integrity, if every heart were just, frank, kindly, the other virtues would be well nigh useless." Isn't that beautiful? I'll say it again. If everyone were clothed with integrity, if every heart were just, frank, kindly, the other virtues would be well nigh useless. I think that is most beautiful. So let me say this to you. If you are experiencing dissatisfaction and inconsistency in your life, examine whether you are being true to yourself and whether you are honoring your deepest desires. Maintaining your integrity requires you to hold your agreement between your desires and your wishes, even as you shift and evolve. When I need to think about some important decisions, I write down, what is it I truly want? What is it I really desire? And I look at it quite closely with the decision I need to make. And I write a few words about my desires, and I marry them to see, are they in alignment with the decisions that I am about to take? And the higher the alignment between my decisions and my desire, the better it is. So remember, the most important relationship that you will ever have in this world is the relationship you have with yourself. So here's my challenge to you. Consider the following. What is the legacy that you want your leadership to leave? Are you comfortable as a leader you are? Are you comfortable as the leader that you are? Are you comfortable in your leadership, or are you trying to be someone else? Are you true to yourself? Are you able to live up to your own expectations, or are you living up to the expectations of others? Do the expectations of others leave you feeling inadequate and incomplete? And when the expectations of others are leaving you feeling inadequate and incomplete, it is time to put an end to those relationships. So, integrity means being true to yourself, being honest. It is about being decent and impeccable with your words, both your words to yourself and your words in dealing with others. When you are guided with integrity, your thoughts and words are in alignment with each other, and your actions align with your principles. So never stray away from yourself in order to get closer to someone else. And remember, your conduct speaks louder and more eloquently than your words. You see, I know that a person may forget, and oftentimes they forget what is being said, but they never forget how you make them feel. So think about how you deal with people. People will always remember how you make them feel. They may often forget what is being said to them, but they will never forget how you make them feel. So think about your words and what feelings it may evoke within another person. Your conduct becomes the root for your reputation and self-respect. Integrity demands courage, the courage to be you, the courage to do the right thing, courage to follow your intuition, in other words, your inner tuition, courage to go against the crowd, and even when that courage means you stand alone. Courage to consider what is the right thing. And if your conscience tells you, don't do this or don't do that, then have the courage to live your truth, act on your truth, and lead with integrity. I love the words of Nelson Mandela. And Nelson Mandela says, I've learned that courage is not the absence of fear, but the triumph over it. The brave man is not he who does not feel afraid, but he who conquers that fear. And obviously, what a great man and a great life that Nelson Mandela lived. So when you display integrity, you can be counted on to stand up for what is right, even if it's unpopular. You can be counted on to behave with honor, even when you are under scrutiny. The display of your integrity allows other people to trust you because you can be counted on as the person who values your commitment, and you speak and you seek to live by your commitments, even when those commitments are challenging to fulfill. So when you are challenged to fulfill your commitments, have a conversation with yourself. And I often find that it's helpful for me to say to myself, I have the moral courage to make my actions consistent with my knowing of what is right and wrong. So, here are 6 ways to develop your integrity. And you may add what works for you. But these are 6 ways that I have found supports me to hold myself accountable and to check on myself. 1, decide on the values that will underpin your decision making. You see, I have found that many people have not thought through their personal value system. They are not sure who they are and what they stand for. And they wait until the breaking of a crisis to make their decision. At this point, it is much too late. When you are faced with great pressure, you will be more prone to take the route that may be easier in that moment. So decide well in advance what are your values, and decide now what you will and will not compromise on. Then When you are faced with ethical choices, your decision will have already been made. I have found it helpful to ensure that I make better decisions on a daily basis. So therefore, I have used the clarity of my vision for my life, a clear sense of purpose. And I would encourage you to ensure that you have a clear vision for your life, a clear sense of purpose, and effective goals. And these will help you to realize your vision and fulfill your purpose. You see, integrity and high performance demands consistency. So constantly review your purpose and your goals and remind yourself of your values. This means that your values are at the forefront of your mind. And when your values are at the forefront of your mind, they allow you to make smarter decisions that are consistent with the person that you are and the life which you are creating. The second way that I have found helpful in terms of developing integrity is to be transparent. Be transparent. Give credit for the work of others. I remember as a chairman, I often said to the directors, when you are taking reports to the board, please, I know that the reports are coming from your department and you are presenting it, but please give credit to the persons who have written the report for you. Because we then, as a corporate board, saying that we value the contribution that every person is making. Make your deals as transparent as possible. And remember, it is always better to avoid situations where you have a conflict of interest. If you're caught in something that prevents you from making completely honest decisions, declare the conflict of interest and withdraw from contributing to the overall and final decision. Focus on positive habits, and that is so important. You see, successful habits foster even more success. And Jim Rohn, this wonderful philosopher who has so much to teach us, Jim Rohn says, your habits will determine your future. And if you keep doing the things in a certain way, you will be able to predict the results. Brendan Burchard, who I know also likes Jim Rohn's work. And Brendan, who again is the person who is well known as the high performance coach and high performance leader. And Brendan Burchard says, to become a high performer, you must see clarity, generate energy, raise necessity, increase productivity, develop influence, and demonstrate courage. Saying it all. So the fourth thing, keep your agreements. These, in these days where there is so much pressure, there are always reasons to compromise on your integrity. You hear those reasons on the news every day, and you hear them in the stories of corporate failure. Every day you make agreements, both with yourself and with others. At the time of making your agreements, you're generally intending to keep those agreements. And the ebb and flow of life sometimes proves to be tempting and challenging for you to keep those agreements. And so you're tempted to break the agreements. But remember, if you're unable to keep your agreements, to restore your integrity, it's very important that you declare that as soon as you recognize so. And as landmark education teaches, you acknowledge the impact that breaking your agreement will have on the other. So the ebb and flow of life will often be challenging and cause us to break our agreements. So if you don't restore your integrity by acknowledging the impact that breaking the agreements will have and stating that you are unable to keep your agreements, if you don't do things like that, when you fail to keep an agreement, you erode the trust between you and the other person. You can always come up with justifications that seemingly make good sense and sometimes let you sleep better at night. Yet, at the end of the day, if you place your rationalization side by side to your integrity, you will often conclude that you sold out on being authentic and you compromise your values and your good name. So, is it worth it? Is it worth compromising your values and your good name? I don't think so. To live with integrity requires that you keep your word so that you can build trusting and healthy relationships. There is nothing more valuable than your good name and the ability to look yourself in the mirror each day with a very clear conscience. And so the fifth way that I use to keep my integrity, and I would encourage you to do so as well, is to take personal responsibility for your life. You see, at the heart of integrity is the ability to own up to the fact that you are in control of your life. You are responsible for both successes and failure. Nobody else but you. So, build value for others. And building value for others is what keeps me going from time to time. I find that if you want to build healthy relationships with other persons, it is best to start from finding some way in which you can help that person. It could be something as simple as taking a few minutes to listen to their needs. You know, it seems counterintuitive, but as you probably focus on what you need to get done, you will find that when you add value to another person, then a lot of value comes back to you as well. When you have helped somebody, they see that you have value to offer and that you can be trusted. And so therefore, you sometimes find that with one quick action, you would have taken giant steps towards creating a healthy new relationship. To lead with integrity is to lead with your best self. So by helping others, you help them to feel good about themselves, and you are also helping yourself by creating a healthy new relationship. When you live with integrity, you live your best life. You respect yourself by living in a manner that is consistent with your values, your purpose, and your goals. And I find that these factors guide each decision that you make, thus allowing you to achieve even more. You know that you can never truly succeed on your own, so you offer the same level of respect to others. You focus on building healthy, supportive relationships that are based on mutual trust and respect. There will be moments when it seems like living with integrity, and that sometimes those moments are difficult. But in reality, when you practice the steps that I have just shared with you, it becomes easier. It becomes easier to live with integrity. You have a great deal of clarity in your life. And when you have that clarity in your life, it allows you to make clear, effective decisions and ensuring that the important things get done. When you live with integrity, the benefits and possibilities are endless. So let me just walk you through those 6 ways that I have used to develop integrity and encourage you to do so as well. 1, decide on the values that will underpin your decision making. 2, be transparent and give credit for the work of others. 3, focus on positive habits. 4, keep your agreements. 5, take personal responsibility. And 6, build value for others. And I will now leave you with these takeaway lines. And they are from the wonderful Wizard of Oz. And the lines are as follows. There is no living thing that is not afraid when it faces danger. True courage is in facing danger when you are afraid. So even if you are afraid, stay true to your integrity. It's been wonderful working with you over the last 30 days on the High Performance Challenge. Thank you.